Hey, Daniel, quick question. What are you doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow I will wake up early, I will drink a coffee, I will go to the office, I will have a meeting, and then I will come home.
Stop. Daniel, you sound like a robot. I will, I will, I will.
But Sarah, it is grammatically correct. I am talking about the future. Will is the future tense.
That is the biggest myth in learning English. Native speakers almost never use will when talking about their personal plans for the next day. It sounds distant, unnatural, and yes, a little bit robotic.
Okay, I'm guilty of this trap. I think a lot of learners are. We love will because it's easy.
It is easy, but it's usually wrong for plans. Welcome back to the English Conversation Podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Daniel, the robot. Today we are going to fix this major mistake. We aren't just teaching you one future tense today.
No, we are going to teach you the real way native speakers talk about fixed diary appointments, vague intentions, and strict schedules for tomorrow.
Before we jump into the future, if you want to stop sounding robotic when you talk about your plans, please take 1 second to hit the like button and subscribe to support the channel. It really helps us out.
Okay, let's start by explaining exactly why Daniel's answer at the beginning sounded so weird.
Okay, Sarah, I have a confession to make. As a language learner myself, I love will.
Oh, I know.
It is just so easy. I will go, you will eat, he will sleep, no complicated endings, no changes. It feels safe.
It is safe grammar, but it is dangerous communication. The problem is that English doesn't really have just one future tense like some other languages.
What do you mean?
We have different ways of talking about the future depending on how we view it. Is it a plan? Is it a guess? Is it a schedule? When you use will for everything, you lose all of that nuance.
So when do native speakers actually use will? Because we do use it.
Yes, we use it constantly, but rarely for tomorrow's plans. There are 3 main situations where will is perfect.
Okay, give me number 1.
Number 1 is the snap decision. This is when you decide to do something at the exact moment you're speaking. You didn't plan it before.
Okay, let's role play. Imagine we are sitting at home watching TV.
Okay, good movie.
Oh no, Sarah, we're out of milk.
Really? Okay, don't worry. I will go to the shop and get some right now.
See? You didn't plan 5 minutes ago to go to the shop. You decided right now because I told you there was no milk.
Exactly. Another great example is in a restaurant. The waiter comes over and says, "Are you ready to order?" You look at the menu right then and say, "Yes, I think I will have the chicken." A snap decision.
Okay, that makes sense. What is situation number 2?
Situation number 2 is for offers and promises.
Ah, like if I say, Sarah, it's really hot in here.
And I offer to help. Is it? I will open the window for you.
Or a promise, like when you tell a secret, please don't tell anyone.
I promise I won't tell a soul. Won't is just will not.
Okay, snap decisions and offers/promises. What is number 3?
Number 3 is for distant, uncertain predictions about the future. Things we believe, but we can't know for sure.
Like looking into a crystal ball.
Exactly. I think that in 50 years, humans will live on Mars. Or just guessing about the weather next week. I don't know. I think it will probably rain next Tuesday.
Okay, so let's go back to my terrible introduction. When you asked me, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, I will go to work. Why was that so weird?
Because, Daniel, I assume you didn't decide right now to go to work tomorrow. I assume you knew that yesterday.
That's true. It's a pre-existing plan.
When you use will For a plan you already have, it sounds very strange to a native speaker. It sounds like you were just inventing your day at this exact moment.
It sounds chaotic. I will wake up. What next? I will drink coffee.
Exactly. And most people's lives aren't that chaotic. We usually have plans.
So, if we can't use will for the plans we already have, what do we use? We need something that shows we have thought about this before right now.
Okay, Daniel, we know will is out. So, what is the absolute most common way native speakers talk about their plans for tomorrow?
This might blow your mind a little bit, guys. The most common future tense in English actually looks exactly like the present tense.
We use the present continuous. That's the verb to be plus the ing verb, like I am doing, she is working.
Wait, Sarah, present continuous means right now. I am speaking English. How can that be the future?
It is confusing, I know, but we use this structure specifically for fixed arrangements.
Okay, what is a fixed arrangement?
I like to call it the diary test. If you have something written in your physical diary or your Google Calendar for tomorrow, and it has a specific time or involves another person, it passes the diary test.
Okay, so my job, I have to be there every day at 9 a.m. It's in my calendar.
Exactly. So you wouldn't say, I will work tomorrow. You would say, I am working tomorrow.
Or if I made an appointment with the dentist for 3 p.m.
I'm seeing the dentist at 3 p.m. It's fixed. It's organized.
Now, Sarah, there is one incredibly important rule if you are going to use this, right?
Yes, this is crucial. If you just say, I am working, it means right now. To make it future, you must add a future time marker.
You have to say when. I am working tomorrow morning. I am seeing the dentist on Tuesday. Without that time marker, people will think you are doing it this second.
Let's hear it in action. Daniel, let's role play. I'm asking you about your very busy weekend coming up.
Okay, ask me.
So, what are you doing on Friday night?
Well, Friday night, I am having dinner with my parents at 7 p.m., and then we are seeing a movie at the cinema.
Busy night. What about Saturday morning?
Ugh, Saturday morning isn't fun. I'm taking the cat to the vet at 10 a.m. She hates the vet.
Good luck with that. See? All of those were be plus ing because they were fixed plans involving other people or specific times.
Okay, I get the diary test. But Sarah, life isn't always that organized.
True.
Sometimes I know I want to do something tomorrow, but I haven't booked a specific time yet.
Exactly. It doesn't pass the diary test yet. For those situations, what we call intentions, we need a different structure.
For intentions, we use be going to plus verb.
This structure is for when you have decided in your head that you want to do something, but the practical details aren't fixed.
For example, I look at my messy apartment right now. I make a decision. I say, I'm going to clean my apartment tomorrow.
Do you know exactly what time you'll start?
No,
Did you arrange it with anyone else?
no, it's just my intention.
Another good example is exercise. People often say, I'm going to try to go to the gym tomorrow. It's a strong idea, but it's not a fixed appointment yet.
It's easy to confuse these two. Let's put them side by side so we can really hear the difference.
Great idea. Let's talk about haircuts.
Okay, if I look in the mirror and think, wow, my hair is getting long, I make an intention. I say, I need to get a haircut. I'm going to call the salon this week.
Right. I'm going to call. It's just an idea in your head right now.
But 5 minutes later, after I have called the salon and booked an appointment, the grammar changes.
Yes. Now it passes the diary test. Now you say, I am getting my haircut on Thursday at 4 p.m.
See the difference? Intention, I'm going to get a haircut. Fixed plan, I'm getting a haircut at 4 p.m.
Let's do one more. Dinner.
Intention, I'm hungry. I am going to cook some pasta soon. Just an idea.
Fixed plan. We are cooking a big dinner for 6 people at 8 p.m. tonight. Don't be late.
So if it's in the diary, use be plus ing. If it's just in your head, use going to.
That covers about 90% of personal plans. But Daniel, there are some things about tomorrow that aren't our personal plans at all. Things we can't control.
Ah, yes, the things that run on timetables, no matter what we want.
Okay, we have our personal diary plans, present continuous, and our intentions, going to. But Daniel, some things about tomorrow don't care about our personal plans.
That is right. There is a whole category of future events that I like to call the robot future.
The robot future?
Yes, these are things that run on automatic timetables. They happen whether you are there or not. They're not your personal arrangements.
Oh, like public transport.
Exactly. Trains, planes, buses, and also things like conference schedules, cinema times, or school timetables.
And for these robotic, automatic events, we use the most basic grammar tense of all.
We use the present simple, just the basic verb, maybe with an S on the end.
Wait, present simple? Like, I eat, he sleeps? For the future?
Yes, because native speakers see these scheduled events almost like facts. They aren't flexible plans, they're fixed realities.
Let's look at an example. Imagine you are flying to New York tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Okay, it is not my personal plan to fly the plane, it is the airline's timetable. So I wouldn't say my plane will leave at 8.
And you wouldn't really say my plane is leaving at 8, although that sounds okay. The best, most natural way is the present simple.
My plane leaves at 8 a.m. tomorrow.
It sounds like a fact. The sun rises in the east. My plane leaves at 8.
Exactly. Or if you're picking someone up from the airport, you ask them, what time does your flight arrive? Not will arrive. What time does it arrive?
And it's not just transport. Think about a business trip. The agenda is fixed by the company, not by you.
Right. So you look at the schedule and say, okay, the first meeting starts at 9 a.m. sharp, then we have a break at 10:30, and the conference ends at 5 p.m.
Starts, has, ends. All present simple.
Even things like entertainment. If you call the cinema, you ask, excuse me, what time does the movie start tonight?
So, the rule is simple. If you are talking about something that is written on a public timetable or a fixed schedule that you cannot change, use the present simple.
It sounds very efficient, very professional.
Okay, so we have covered fixed diary plans, intentions, and strict schedules. We are very organized today, Daniel.
We are. But Sarah, let's be honest, real life is messy.
It is.
Sometimes someone asks you, what are you doing tomorrow? And the honest answer is, I have absolutely no idea.
Saying, I don't know, is boring. We need ways to sound natural when we are completely uncertain about the future.
And Sarah, this brings us to a shocking plot twist in today's episode.
What is it?
Remember how we spent the first 10 minutes bashing the word will?
Yes. Don't use will. It sounds robotic.
Well, this is the one time you are actually allowed to use will for your personal life tomorrow.
Really?
Yes, but there is a catch. It almost never travels alone. It needs friends.
Ah, you mean probability markers. Words like probably, maybe, or phrases like I think.
Exactly. If you say, I will go to the gym tomorrow, you sound like a robot. But if you add a friend, it changes everything.
I don't know. I'll probably go to the gym if I wake up on time.
See? Suddenly, it sounds natural. It turns the sentence from a strange statement of fact into a guess about your own life.
Another one. What are you doing Sunday?
Honestly, I haven't decided. I think I'll just stay home and relax.
I think I'll. That's the key combo for uncertainty.
Now, Sarah, what if you are genuinely 50-50? You have two options and you cannot decide.
Oh, my favorite modal verb for this is might.
Might is perfect. It means maybe yes, maybe no. 50% chance.
Are you going to Sarah's party tomorrow night?
I don't know. I'm really tired. I might go for an hour, or I might just stay home and watch a movie. I'll decide tomorrow.
It's much better than saying, maybe I will go. Might is faster and sounds more native.
Okay, so we have I'll probably and I might. Are there any other ways to sound delightfully vague?
Yes, you can use verbs that talk about your desires rather than your plans. These are softer than saying, I am going to.
My favorite one of these is I am hoping to.
This is great. It shows what you want to happen, but you know it might not work out.
For example, you have a busy day at work tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day, but I'm hoping to finish by 6 p.m. so I can catch the game on TV.
It's not a promise, it's a hope. Another good one is planning on.
This one is good for loose ideas.
If the weather is nice tomorrow, I'm planning on doing some gardening.
Note the grammar there. Planning on doing. You need the ing verb after on.
Right. Planning on going, planning on seeing.
So it is totally fine not to have a plan for tomorrow. Just don't use a robotic will to express it. Use might, I think I'll, or I'm hoping to.
Okay, Sarah, my head is spinning a little bit. We have covered a lot of different futures today.
We have present continuous, going to, present simple, might, will. It's a lot. We need to summarize this before we let everyone go. Okay, Daniel. Phew. That was a journey through time.
It was. I think we proved that English doesn't just have one future tense.
We definitely proved that. But let's simplify it. If our listeners only remember 3 things from today, what are the golden rules for talking about tomorrow?
Rule number 1. Stop sounding like a robot. Do not use will for plans you already made yesterday.
Rule number 2, if it is written in your diary with a specific time or person, use the present continuous. I am working tomorrow. I am seeing Dave at 7.
And rule number 3, if it's just a strong idea in your head, use going to. I'm going to clean my house.
Simple as that. Now, you can listen to podcasts all day, but the only way to lock this grammar into your brain is to actually use it.
Which brings us to our question of the day challenge.
We want to know what you are actually doing tomorrow, but we are going to make it difficult.
Yes. In the comments section below, we want you to write one sentence about a fixed plan you have for tomorrow.
That means it has to pass the diary test, and you have to use the present continuous tense.
Give them an example, Sarah.
A perfect comment would look like this. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., I am having a team meeting at work.
Or, tomorrow evening, I'm cooking dinner for my sister.
We will be down in the comments section checking your grammar. We want to see those ing verbs.
And finally, guys, if this episode helped you understand the crazy world of future tenses in English, please take 1 second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.
It really helps us keep making these free lessons for you. Good luck with the comment challenge.
Thanks for listening to the English Conversation Podcast. See you tomorrow.